dare challenge the power of the ancients,"
one of the spirits hissed, its voice dripping with malice.
"you will meet the same fate as those who came before you."
Without hesitation, Agba and Ada prepared for battle. The air crackled with tension as the sorcerers unleashed their dark magic, filling the chamber with swirling shadows and piercing cold. The ground beneath them trembled as the runes on the altar flared to life, channeling the malevolent energy toward the intruders. Agba took a deep breath as he ventured deeper into the ominous forest, feeling the weight of the forest's dark magic pressing down upon him. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of unseen creatures. The oppressive atmosphere made each step feel heavier, each breath more labored. His heart pounded with a mix of anticipation and dread. The deeper he ventured, the more the forest seemed to shift and change. The once familiar path became a maze of shadows and twisted branches. It felt as though the forest itself was trying to mislead him, to push him into despair. Agba tightened his grip on the amulet given to him by the village oracle. Its weight against his chest was a small comfort amidst the mounting darkness. The oracle had told him that the amulet contained the power of the ancients, a blessing meant to aid him in the trials ahead. Little did Agba know just how crucial it would prove to be. As he turned a corner, the forest opened up into a vast, moonlit clearing. In the center stood a towering, shadowy figure, its form wreathed in darkness and its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. The spirit's presence was overwhelming, an aura of dark magic that seemed to sap the very strength from Agba's limbs. The spirit spoke in a voice that echoed like a distant storm, filled with both menace and ancient sorrow.
"To pass, you must prove your worth. Face me, and show that your will is stronger than the shadows that dwell within this forest."
Without warning, the spirit unleashed a torrent of dark magic. The air crackled with energy as bolts of shadowy lightning arced towards Agba. He barely had time to react, raising his sword to deflect the attack. The force of the impact threw him backward, crashing into a pile of twisted roots. His sword, though powerful, seemed almost insignificant against the spirit's might. Agba scrambled to his feet, the weight of the amulet heavy around his neck. He had to fight through the haze of pain and disorientation. The spirit's magic was relentless, conjuring illusions that distorted reality. Agba saw visions of his village burning, his people crying out in despair. Ada's face appeared among the images, her eyes filled with sorrow and fear. These illusions were designed to break his spirit, to make him doubt his purpose. With a surge of willpower, Agba focused on the amulet. He could feel its warmth, a faint glow that seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. The oracle had said it would protect him, but he had yet to see its true power. As he held the amulet tightly, he felt a renewed strength flow through him. It was as if the amulet was channeling the ancient energies into him, reinforcing his resolve. The spirit, sensing Agba's defiance, redoubled its efforts. Dark creatures began to emerge from the shadows, grotesque, twisted forms that writhed and slithered towards him. The forest itself seemed to come alive with hostility, its branches whipping violently and its ground shifting treacherously. Agba fought valiantly, using his sword to fend off the creatures and deflect the spirit's magic. The amulet's power was palpable, providing a shield against the dark magic and lending him strength when he felt most exhausted. He began to notice a pattern in the spirit's attacks, a rhythm to the chaos. Using this insight, he adapted his strategy, countering the spirit's assaults with precision. The battle reached a crescendo as Agba faced the spirit directly. He could feel the amulet's energy coursing through him, a powerful force that seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment. With a final, decisive strike, he pierced the heart of the shadowy figure. The spirit let out a chilling wail as it dissolved into nothingness, its dark magic dissipating like mist in the morning sun. The clearing fell silent, the oppressive atmosphere lifting as the spirit was vanquished. Agba, though exhausted, felt a profound sense of relief and accomplishment. The path forward was now clear, the forest's malevolent influence fading with the defeat of the spirit. As Agba took a moment to catch his breath, he noticed something strange, a faint, eerie glow emanating from a small, hidden alcove at the edge of the clearing. Curiosity piqued, he approached the alcove, feeling a mixture of excitement and trepidation. What lay ahead was still unknown, but the amulet's power and his unwavering determination had brought him this far. Little did he realize that the alcove was merely the gateway to a greater challenge. As he stepped closer, the glow intensified, revealing a narrow passage leading deeper into the forest. The forest seemed to pulse with a new, unsettling energy, hinting at the trials still to come. With the amulet's light guiding him and his spirit fortified by his recent victory, Oba steeled himself for the next phase of his quest. The passage led Oba to a clearing, where he was greeted by the sight of an ancient shrine, its monumental structure partially obscured by the thick, overgrown foliage of the forest. His heart pounded with a mix of awe and trepidation as he took in the grand entrance flanked by towering stone pillars, intricately carved with ancient symbols and mythic creatures. The carvings seemed to come alive in the dappled light, their eyes following Oba as he approached. It was clear that this shrine held great power and significance in the lore of the forest, and within its walls lay the final test of his strength and resolve. The entrance was a massive archway adorned with faded frescoes depicting scenes of celestial beings, ancient rituals, and mythical battles. Oba could feel the weight of centuries pressing down upon him as he stepped through the threshold. The air inside the shrine was cool and fragrant with the scent of old incense and earth. Shadows danced across the walls as if whispering forgotten secrets. Inside, the shrine was a labyrinth of stone corridors and chambers, each one more mysterious than the last. The walls were lined with ancient artifacts, golden masks, ceremonial daggers, and faded tapestries depicting the history of the forest's magic. The soft glow of torches flickered, casting long shadows and creating an atmosphere of eerie stillness. Oba's path through the shrine was marked by a series of trials, each designed to test different facets of his character. The first trial was a test of physical strength. In a vast, echoing chamber, Oba was confronted with a series of colossal stone blocks that needed to be moved to reveal a hidden passage. The blocks were heavy and seemed almost immovable, but Oba's resolve was unshakable. Drawing on the strength and resilience he had gained from his earlier trials, he pushed and maneuvered the stones, his muscles straining with effort. With each block he moved, the chamber seemed to grow warmer, as if acknowledging his perseverance. The second trial was a test of mental acuity. Oba entered a room filled with shifting walls and intricate puzzles. Symbols and patterns appeared and vanished on the walls, creating a constantly changing maze. Oba had to decipher these patterns and solve the puzzles to find the correct path through the room. The puzzles challenged not only his intellect but also his patience and ability to stay calm under pressure. His mind raced as he considered each possibility, using both logic and intuition to navigate the shifting maze. After several intense moments, he found the solution and the path opened before him. The final trial was perhaps the most daunting, a test of emotional strength. Oba entered a chamber where he was confronted by illusions that mirrored his deepest fears and doubts. He saw visions of his village in ruins, his people suffering, and his loved ones in distress. These illusions were designed to break his spirit and make him question his purpose. As he faced these haunting visions, Oba felt a wave of despair, but he remembered the promise he had made to his people and the love he had for Ada. Drawing on his inner strength, he confronted these fears head-on, refusing to let them undermine his resolve. His determination to succeed in his mission and his unwavering love for his people gave him the courage to overcome these emotional trials. Each trial was a crucible, forging Oba into a more formidable and compassionate leader. As he emerged victorious from each challenge, the shrine seemed to respond, its ancient energy resonating with his success. The final chamber of the shrine was a vast, circular room with a domed ceiling adorned with a celestial mosaic. At the center of the room was a pedestal upon which rested the heart of the ancients, a radiant crystal pulsing with a soft, ethereal light. Oba approached the pedestal with reverence, feeling a profound sense of achievement and anticipation. The heart of the ancients, now within his grasp, was said to hold the power to restore balance and peace. Its light seemed to grow brighter as Oba reached out to touch it, signaling that he had proven himself worthy of its power. As Oba lifted the heart of the ancients from its pedestal, he felt a surge of energy flow through him, a blend of warmth and power that bolstered his resolve and clarified his purpose. The shrine's trials had been a formidable challenge, but Agba had emerged victorious, having demonstrated his worthiness. With the heart of the ancients now in his possession, Agba knew that the final stages of his quest were drawing near. The ancient magic of the forest had been unlocked, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose as he prepared to face the remaining trials and challenges ahead. As Agba left the shrine, the ancient structure seemed to sigh in relief, its shadows receding and its atmosphere lightening. The forest outside was bathed in the soft light of dusk, and Agba could sense that the final leg of his journey was approaching. He stepped forward with renewed confidence, ready to confront whatever awaited him in the heart of the forest. With the heart of the ancients securely in hand, Agba began his arduous journey back through the forest. The ancient artifact, now safely ensconced within a leather pouch he fashioned from the forest's materials, pulsed with a faint, ethereal glow. This light served as a small beacon amidst the encroaching darkness, guiding him through the increasingly treacherous paths. The forest had transformed into a hostile battleground, reacting violently to Agba's possession of the powerful relic. The once familiar paths now seemed alien, twisted and obscured by shadows that moved with an unnerving purpose. The trees, dark and gnarled, loomed overhead like sentinels of doom, their branches intertwining to block out any remaining light. Agba's senses were on high alert. Every crackle of leaves and snap of twigs echoed ominously, magnifying his sense of dread. The forest, aware of the power Agba carried, seemed determined to prevent him from completing his mission. Shadows slithered along the ground, forming ominous shapes that danced at the edge of his vision. The malevolent forces that had once been subdued now stirred with a vengeance, their whispers of darkness reverberating through the woods. His first test came as he navigated a particularly dense thicket. Out of the shadows emerged a pack of shadow wolves, beasts with eyes glowing a fierce, unnatural red. Their forms shifted and blurred, making it difficult to discern where one ended and another began. Their growls were low and menacing, a chilling reminder of the forest's displeasure. Drawing his sword, Agba prepared for battle. The wolves attacked with a ferocity that tested his skills and stamina. Each slash and parry was executed with precision, driven by the knowledge that his village depended on him. The battle was grueling, but Agba's resolve remained unshaken. He fought with a blend of bravery and strategic acumen, using the protective amulet gifted by the oracle to shield himself from the wolves' dark magic. As the last of the shadow wolves fell, their forms dissolving into dark mist, Agba took a moment to catch his breath. His heart pounded in his chest, but his determination remained unwavering. He knew that this was only the beginning of the renewed trials he would face on his way back. The next challenge was more insidious. The ground beneath him began to shift and churn, creating treacherous pits and obstacles. The once familiar paths were now deceptive, with new dangers manifesting at every turn. The forest seemed to conspire against him, each step forward met with an equal measure of resistance. Navigating this perilous terrain required all of Agba's strength and ingenuity. He used the knowledge and skills he had honed throughout his journey to anticipate and overcome the shifting hazards. Every step was a gamble, a test of his agility and courage. The forest manifested illusions, phantom figures and ghostly apparitions, that sought to distract and confuse him. These spectral entities whispered words of doubt and fear, attempting to undermine his confidence. Despite the increasing difficulty, Agba remained focused on his goal. The heart of the ancients, though a beacon of hope, seemed to attract the forest's wrath. Its glow grew stronger as he neared the forest's edge, signaling both his progress and the forest's intensified opposition. The final obstacle presented itself as a massive chasm, appearing suddenly in Agba's path. Its depths were shrouded in darkness, and the other side was barely visible through swirling mists. The chasm seemed to be a last, desperate measure by the forest to prevent Agba from escaping with the heart. Agba studied the chasm, noting the precarious ledges and unstable rock formations along its edges. He realized that crossing it would require both ingenuity and courage. With no other options, he set about crafting a makeshift bridge from available materials, twisted vines, sturdy branches, and rocks. His hands worked steadily, his mind focused solely on the task. As he tested the stability of his makeshift bridge, a low, guttural growl echoed from the chasm's depths. Dark, shadowy tendrils began to emerge, writhing up the sides of the chasm. The malevolent forces of the forest were not finished with him yet. Oba's heart raced, but he knew he had no choice but to press on. With a final glance at the chasm's dark abyss, he took a deep breath and began his crossing, each step measured and deliberate. The forest's ominous presence loomed large, and the shadows writhed with a malevolent energy. As Oba reached the midpoint of the bridge, the ground trembled violently. The chasm roared, and a surge of dark energy erupted from its depths, threatening to engulf him. Oba's grip tightened on the bridge, his determination blazing in the face of the forest's final assault. With a desperate burst of speed, Oba sprinted across the remaining distance. His legs burned, and his breath came in ragged gasps, but he pressed on, driven by the knowledge that his people's fate depended on his success. Finally, Oba reached the far side of the chasm, collapsing onto solid ground, gasping for breath. The darkness and shadows of the chasm receded, though the forest's malevolent energy still lingered. He had survived, but the journey was not yet complete. He pressed forward, the forest seeming to watch him in eerie silence. The oppressive canopy gradually began to thin, and the familiar sounds of the village, laughter, chatter, and the distant hum of daily life, grew louder. Oba's heart lifted as he emerged from the last stretch of the forest, the village coming into view. The sight of his village, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun, filled Oba with a profound sense of relief and accomplishment. He had braved the forest's perils, faced its dark magic, and now, with the heart of the ancient secured, he was on the verge of returning to his people. With one last glance at the dark forest behind him, Oba took a deep breath and stepped onto the familiar path leading into the village. The final stretch of his journey awaited, and the challenges he had overcome would soon culminate in the pivotal moment of salvation for his people. As Oba emerged from the menacing embrace of the evil forest, the first rays of dawn painted the sky with hues of pink and gold. The village, nestled in a valley surrounded by lush green hills, appeared both peaceful and vibrant, a stark contrast to the darkness Oba had just left behind. The air was filled with a palpable sense of anticipation and hope, as the villagers had been anxiously awaiting his return. From afar, the village looked almost serene, but as Oba drew closer, the tension became evident. The villagers had gathered in a large open space near the center of the village, their faces a mixture of worry and hope. When they caught sight of Oba's silhouette against the morning sky, holding the heart of the ancients aloft, a collective gasp of astonishment and relief swept through the crowd. The village elders, led by the wise and revered Chief Oladipo, hurried forward to meet him. Their faces, etched with lines of concern and age, now lit up with admiration and gratitude. The oracle, draped in her flowing robes and adorned with symbols of her divine role, stood beside them, her eyes reflecting both pride and relief. Oba's arrival was met with a thunderous cheer. The villagers, who had been holding their breath in suspense, erupted into jubilant cries. The sound of their cheers mingled with the rhythmic drumming and the joyous clapping of hands. For a moment, it seemed as though the village was celebrating not just Oba's return but the promise of a brighter future. Chief Oladipo approached Oba, his voice resonant and firm. "Brave Oba, you have returned to us as a true hero. The heart of the ancients, held securely in your hands, will bring us the salvation we so desperately need. We thank you for your courage and determination." The oracle stepped forward, her gaze soft but intense. "Oba, you have faced trials that few could endure and emerged victorious. The heart you carry is the key to lifting the curse that has plagued our land. Your journey has restored hope to our hearts." Ada, who had been watching from the sidelines, her eyes brimming with tears, finally found the strength to push through the crowd. Her face was a mixture of relief and happiness as she reached Oba. Without a word, she threw her arms around him, holding him tightly. "You did it," she exclaimed, her voice breaking with emotion. "You brought back the heart. You're a hero." Oba, his heart swelling with a mixture of pride and exhaustion, hugged her back. His eyes were misty as he took in the sight of the village he had fought so hard to protect. "It was a long and arduous journey," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "But we still have work to do. The ritual to lift the curse must be completed. We need to ensure that the heart of the ancients is used properly to restore peace to our land." The villagers gathered around Oba, forming a circle of unity and support. They escorted him to the ceremonial ground, where preparations for the ritual were already underway. The elders and the oracle began organizing the ceremonial items, laying out offerings, and arranging the sacred symbols that would guide the ritual's success. Oba's return was not just a personal victory but a moment of collective triumph. As the villagers worked together to prepare for the final steps, the air was filled with a sense of renewed purpose and hope. The heart of the ancients, now back in the village, symbolized the promise of restoration and the power of unity in the face of adversity. As Oba stood in the heart of the village, surrounded by the warmth of his people and the support of his beloved Ada, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Yet, amidst the celebration, there was a lingering anticipation. The completion of the ritual was crucial, and the path to redemption was still ahead. Oba knew that their journey was far from over, but for now, he allowed himself to savor the joy and relief of his return. The villagers' voices, filled with song and celebration, echoed through the valley, a testament to their resilience and hope. Oba looked around at the faces of those he had fought to protect and felt a renewed strength surge within him. Together, they would face the final challenge and restore their land to its former glory. The stage was set for the ritual, and as Oba prepared for the next steps, he carried with him the unwavering support of his people and the promise of a new dawn. The village prepared for the grand ritual to use the heart of the ancients to lift the curse. The ritual involved elaborate ceremonies, prayers, and offerings to the gods. The villagers gathered at the sacred site, ready to invoke the powers of the heart and restore balance. The ritual was a blend of ancient traditions and spiritual practices, designed to harness the heart's power and drive away the malevolent forces that had plagued the village. The village oracle led the ceremony, her voice rising in a powerful chant that resonated with the ancient magic of the land. Oba and Ada participated in the ritual, their hearts filled with hope and anticipation. The heart of the ancients was placed at the center of the sacred site, and the villagers' collective energy was channeled through the artifact. As the ritual progressed, the village began to experience strange and unsettling phenomena. The curse's effects were not easily dispelled, and the malevolent forces seemed to resist the efforts to lift them. The village experienced a series of ominous occurrences, strange sounds, unexplainable visions, and disturbances in the natural order. The oracle and the elders consulted the ancient texts and artifacts to understand the true nature of the curse. They discovered that the curse was more complex than initially believed, involving layers of dark magic and ancient enmities that needed to be addressed. Oba and Ada worked closely with the oracle, seeking additional guidance and preparing for a deeper confrontation with the forces behind the curse. The village's hope was not yet lost, but it was clear that the journey to restore peace was far from over. The village's attempts to lift the curse led them to a deeper understanding of the dark magic that had ensnared them. They uncovered evidence of a dark ritual that had been performed long ago, binding the malevolent forces to their land and perpetuating the curse. Oba and the oracle delved into the history of the dark ritual, discovering that it had been performed by a group of sorcerers who sought to gain power and control over the land. The ritual had been designed to trap the malevolent forces and use their energy for their own purposes. To counter the effects of the dark ritual, Oba and Ada had to undertake a new mission, to find and neutralize the sources of the dark magic that had been used in the original ritual. This mission involved a journey to forgotten sites and hidden chambers, where they would confront the remnants of the dark sorcery. Oba and Ada embarked on a perilous journey to locate the forgotten sites linked to the dark ritual that had cursed their village. Their quest took them deep into the wilderness, far beyond the familiar paths of the village. Each step into the unknown brought them closer to the dangerous legacy of the sorcerers who had bound the village's fate to the malevolent magic. Their first destination was a crumbling temple, hidden in the shadow of towering cliffs. The ancient structure was covered in overgrown vines and moss, its once magnificent pillars now broken and worn. As they stepped into the ruins, the air grew thick with the remnants of forgotten power. An unsettling stillness surrounded the area, and the ground seemed to pulse beneath their feet, as though the magic of the place was still very much alive. Inside the temple, the darkness was almost palpable. Strange symbols carved into the stone walls glowed faintly, illuminating their way forward. Oba and Ada treaded cautiously, their hearts racing with a mixture of fear and anticipation. The oppressive atmosphere weighed on them, yet they pressed on, knowing the answers they sought lay within these ancient walls. At the heart of the temple was a vast chamber, once a place of dark worship. The walls were adorned with faded murals that told the story of the sorcerers who had ruled over the land centuries ago. The murals depicted the twisted rituals and ceremonies they had performed to bind the forest's magic, trapping it under a curse that would ripple through generations. As they approached the altar, Ada gasped. Embedded in the stone was a blood-red crystal, pulsating faintly with dark energy. "This must be one of the sources of the curse," she whispered. Oba nodded grimly. "The magic here still lingers, but we must move forward. There are more sights to find." Leaving the temple behind, they ventured deeper into the wild, their journey taking them to desolate caves, where they encountered remnants of the dark sorcery that once held the land in its grip. In these dark caverns, they were met with traps, cleverly placed snares designed to deter anyone foolish enough to seek out the truth. Arrows shot from hidden mechanisms, and the floors gave way to pits filled with jagged rocks, but Oba and Ada's quick reflexes and sharp minds helped them navigate the dangers. At one particularly foreboding site, they uncovered a hidden chamber sealed by a complex lock that could only be opened by deciphering an ancient riddle. The walls of the chamber were covered in inscriptions, each one telling a fragment of the story behind the curse. The answers they sought lay within the cryptic symbols etched into the stone, and together, Oba and Ada worked tirelessly to decode the messages. As they pieced together the meaning of the inscriptions, they began to uncover the true horror behind the sorcerer's curse. The dark magic was not merely intended to bind the forest's power, but to consume the very souls of those living near it, feeding off their life force to strengthen the sorcerer's immortality. It was a cycle of torment, one that had been halted but never truly ended. Oba clenched his fists. This is why the curse has plagued the village for so long. It was designed to grow stronger with each generation. Ada shuddered. But we can break it. We have to. The clues they gathered pointed them to a final, forbidden site, a burial ground, where the bones of the sorcerers themselves were said to be interred. Legend spoke of this place as a location of ultimate evil, where even the bravest feared to tread. But Oba and Ada had no choice. They knew that to complete their quest and free their people, they had to confront the source of the curse head-on. Each site they visited left them more wary, more battle-worn, but also more determined. They had faced traps, dark creatures, and lingering magic, but their knowledge and bravery had carried them through. Now, as they stood on the precipice of the final site, the weight of their task settled on them. The dark ritual's full power was on the verge of awakening, and it was up to them to ensure that its evil was stopped once and for all. Together, they had unraveled the mystery behind the dark sorcery, but the most dangerous challenge was yet to come. With the heart of the ancients in hand and the wisdom of the oracle guiding them, Oba and Ada prepared for the final confrontation that would determine the fate of their village. The shadows grew longer as the cursed energy of the sorcerers stirred, preparing to face the two who dared to challenge it. They shared a glance, knowing that their journey was far from over. "Are you ready?" Oba asked, his voice steady but edged with the gravity of their mission. Ada nodded firmly, though her heart raced. "We've come this far. There's no turning back now." As they stepped forward into the darkness, the final pieces of the puzzle fell into place. The battle to break the curse would soon begin, and they knew they could not fail. The lives of their village, of their people, depended on it. With the knowledge gained from their perilous journey, Oba and Ada stood on the precipice of their greatest challenge yet. The weight of the village's fate rested heavily on their shoulders, but the bond they had forged through trials and triumphs bolstered their resolve. They knew that this final confrontation would decide the future of their people, and failure was not an option. The path leading to the nexus of dark magic was fraught with a sense of foreboding. The air grew thicker with every step, charged with an unnatural energy that pressed down on them, as if the forest itself was trying to dissuade them from continuing. The once vibrant forest had transformed into a landscape of shadows, where the trees stood as silent sentinels, twisted and gnarled by the dark magic that had permeated the land. It was as though the very earth beneath their feet pulsed with the malevolent energy that had long cursed their village. The entrance to the hidden chamber, the epicenter of the dark magic's influence, was concealed beneath an overgrown thicket of thorny vines and ancient roots. As Oba and Ada approached, the vines seemed to writhe and twist as if alive, resisting their attempts to clear a path. The amulet Oba carried, blessed by the village oracle, began to glow with a soft, reassuring light, and the vines reluctantly parted, revealing a stone doorway carved with ominous symbols of the old sorcerer's craft. With a deep breath, Oba pushed open the heavy stone door, and they descended into the darkness. The chamber within was vast and echoing, its walls adorned with intricate carvings depicting the rise of the sorcerers and the ancient rituals they had performed to bind the forest's magic to their will. At the center of the chamber stood a stone altar, pulsating with dark energy, surrounded by a circle of runes that seemed to dance with a life of their own. As they entered, the chamber reacted to their presence. The dark energy within the room swirled violently, coalescing into shadowy forms that rose from the ground. These were the manifestations of the long-dead sorcerers, twisted remnants of the evil that had been unleashed so many generations ago. Their hollow eyes glowed with an unholy light, and their voices echoed with a chilling, otherworldly resonance.
You dare challenge the power of the ancients?
One of the spirits hissed, its voice dripping with malice.
You will meet the same fate as those who came before you.
Without hesitation, Oba and Ada prepared for battle. The air crackled with tension as the sorcerers unleashed their dark magic, filling the chamber with swirling shadows and piercing cold. The ground beneath them trembled as the runes on the altar flared to life, channeling the malevolent energy toward the intruders. Oba raised the amulet high, its light piercing through the darkness. The heart of the ancients within it, imbued with the wisdom and strength of generations, began to glow fiercely, countering the dark magic that filled the room. The light pushed back the shadows, creating a protective barrier around them, but the sorcerers' manifestations were relentless, their attacks growing more vicious with each passing moment. Ada, wielding a blade blessed by the oracle, moved with grace and precision, cutting through the tendrils of shadow that reached out to ensnare them. She chanted the words of the ancient incantations they had learned during their journey, her voice steady and strong, weaving together the magic necessary to weaken the sorcerer's hold on the chamber. The battle raged on, each clash of light and darkness sending shockwaves through the chamber. The sorcerer's laughter echoed eerily, feeding off the dark magic that had saturated the chamber for centuries. But Oba and Ada were unwavering. Their determination to save their village, to break the curse that had plagued their people for so long, gave them the strength to press on. As the amulet's light grew brighter, the dark energy in the room began to wane. The runes on the altar flickered, their power diminishing under the relentless assault of the ancient magic contained within the amulet. The spirits of the sorcerers screamed in fury, their forms dissolving into wisps of shadow as the light of the heart of the ancients purified the chamber. Finally, with a final surge of power, Oba and Ada focused their energies on the altar. The runes shattered, and the dark magic that had been bound to the nexus was dispelled in a blinding flash of light. The chamber trembled as the ancient curse was lifted, the oppressive weight of the dark magic lifting like a veil being torn away. As the light faded, the chamber was left in a profound silence. The malevolent presence that had once filled the room was gone, replaced by a sense of peace and clarity. Oba and Ada, exhausted but victorious, stood side by side, their breaths coming in heavy gasps as they surveyed the now quiet chamber. The nexus of dark magic had been neutralized, the final barrier between the village and freedom destroyed. But even as they rejoiced in their victory, they knew that their work was not yet complete. The journey back to the village awaited them, where the final steps to fully restore peace and lift the curse would need to be carried out. With renewed determination, Oba and Ada turned to leave the chamber, their hearts filled with hope for the future. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, but the true test of their strength and unity was yet to come. Together, they would see their mission through to the end, no matter what challenges still lay ahead. With the dark magic neutralized and the forces of the curse defeated, the village began to experience a sense of relief and renewal. The rituals and efforts to restore balance had succeeded, and the land started to heal from the effects of the curse. The village celebrated their victory with a grand feast and ceremonies of gratitude. Oba and Ada were honored for their bravery and dedication, and the village came together to rejoice in their newfound peace. The oracle and the elders conducted a final ritual to seal the restoration of balance and ensure that the dark magic would not return. The village's unity and resilience were celebrated, and the sense of hope and renewal was palpable. As the sun rose over the village, a new era of peace and prosperity began. The village, now free from the curse, looked forward to a future filled with hope and promise. Oba and Ada, having fulfilled their mission, were celebrated as heroes and leaders. The village returned to its vibrant and thriving state, with the scars of the past gradually fading. Oba and Ada's journey had not only restored balance but also strengthened the bonds between the villagers and their sense of unity. As the story concluded, Oba and Ada stood together, looking out over their village with a sense of accomplishment and optimism. The journey had been long and arduous, but their courage and determination had led them to a new beginning.